Hey, what's up? Another video brought to you by Zeal Brothers. This one is sponsored by my nose hairs. So I just want to make a video this time about the Chicago violence. And I want to start by saying this. In my past, I had a bad run-in with the police. We were in the city going to a party. Me and my brother were, and we left the party because people were doing illegal drugs in the basement. We didn't like that, so we left. And when we were leaving, the police were outside, and they questioned us really aggressively, and we just were responding. It seemed very accusatory, right? And we were responding with no because we hadn't done anything wrong. And so finally, they got angry, and they said, "Give us your IDs." And we said, "Hey, our IDs are in our pockets. Show me your ID." So when I reach for my pocket, they say, "You're getting a gun." And I look at my brother and I look at them and I say, "I told you I was getting my ID. And I told you where it was. Why are you acting like this?" So then they both looked at each other and they kind of had this dumb look like, dang, he kind of got us with that. And then the next thing I knew they grabbed my arm and then they said, "You're resisting arrest." And it's like all I did was stiffen my arm up when they grabbed me because they grabbed me so suddenly that anybody's natural reaction would be that, right? So they grabbed me and then they started to, punch me and slam me into the wall and handcuff me. And this happened years and years ago. And the reason I tell that story is because what I'm going to say in this video about violence and about the violence in the city of Chicago is going to seem to many to be pro-police, and it is, but it is not out of a sentiment that police can't make mistakes. It's not out of a sentiment of somebody who hasn't experienced some things police can do myself. I've had other run-ins with the police that I didn't enjoy. I often call myself a backup situation because I have never had a situation with the police where they didn't call for backup. Right? So I understand some of the sentiment to the police. But the truth of the matter is that when we talk about the violence problem, there are two main causes to the rise in violence in the city of Chicago. And when you look at the rise in violence in the city of Chicago, Chicago is just a picture of all the cities in the U.S. because violence is rising overall. And there are two main factors that are going into this. The first one is the anti-police sentiment, right? We have in our cities two groups that are against the police. One group are these rich, entitled white kids who don't even belong and wouldn't even be caught dead near the hood. But they want to be part of these movements because they want to prove that they're so woke. These are the kids who, anytime something goes wrong, they'll turn around and call the police in a second. I've even seen them, and police officers have told me that there have been situations where somebody will protest, something bad will happen, like they're protesting against the police. And while they're protesting, they'll be doing something like hanging outside their car saying, "F the police," right? Then they'll fall out their car, get hurt, and immediately turn and call the police for help. And so what we have in this situation are hypocrites, right? So on one hand, we have the hypocrites. And on the other hand, you have some blacks who want to be the leaders of a crowd, right? They want to rise their own star. And so a lot of these people are known for being, I don't know how to really say it, but they're basically crooks who steal people's money. And what they're doing is they're trying to raise their own profile through these situations and make these situations bigger than they have to be. So let's just talk about it. The anti-police sentiment in the black community hurts the black community the worst. Because what it does is this. When you are against the police, you put the police on edge. If you really feared police violence, you wouldn't want the police to be on edge around you. You would work with the police, right? Because whether you believe in defunding the police or not, first off, it's unrealistic to ever defund the police. But the second thing is the police will always be here. There will always be some form of law enforcement. Because if a law is not enforced, it doesn't matter. There will always be some form of enforcement. And if there will always be some form of enforcement, it is better if your community has a bad relationship with them to repair it than to make it worse. So right from the beginning, this movement was always bad. This movement was bad because it never had any real solutions. It never had anything like, let's increase the amount of police funding. Because really, if you think about it, defunding the police is actually the worst idea. Let's think about the fact that police are already stressed and overburdened. Most police departments are already underfunded and had low personnel. And so when you defund it and you have a stressed cop reporting to more situations, he gets to situations later. There are worse situations now. How does that make the cop better? It doesn't, right? So right from there, the anti-police sentiment was bad. And what community is hurt the worst by anti-police sentiment? It's black people, right? Because we need the police. We're the ones that are often the victim of crimes and violence. We're the ones that are often having to call the police. We're the ones who complain the most about slow response times. And then we're going to be behind a movement that cuts police funding? When, let's be honest, when it comes to funding of the police, we were the main ones funding it, but we were the main ones who needed it. So what we did was hurt a benefit that we need because of an emotional response to a problem that was real, right? I don't know nobody who can watch the George Floyd situation and say that that's what should have happened. So I'm not saying that. But the idea that the average police officer is somebody who goes out there and has a racist agenda from the start is a bad premise and it's bad faith. And it reeks of the kind of racism, right? And we shouldn't say racism because be against police is not racist, but to be against police is prejudice. It reeks of the kind of prejudice that blacks have been arguing against forever. I never want to go to a store and have somebody following me because they think I'm going to steal. That would anger me. But then the police shows up at a scene and everybody got their cameras out thinking that he's just going to beat people. How would you feel if that was you? So that's hypocrisy. So that's the first reason why the crime problem is getting worse, is because we have reduced police and we've made police less effective because we made them afraid to do their jobs. We've made it so that a policeman feels that if he does have to kill somebody in the line of duty, his life will be ruined, even if his killing is justified. But the second reason why the problem is so bad is because of a lack of leadership. I want to look at the mayor of Chicago, who I call Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice is a bad leader. All she can do, well, other than look ugly, all she can do is blame other people for her problems. All she can do is keep reciting the same old lines. Police turn their back on her. She has no good response to them. I know in her heart she hates them, right? And you can tell that she hates the police. But she knows she also needs the police. These are her employees. And she can't get over the fact that she comes in with this far left viewpoint and that is against the police and views the police as the cause of the problem. But when she sees it from the inside, she should know. She should know that she needs more boots on the ground. She should know that Chicago is starting to become a war ground. She should know that Chicago is becoming worse than Afghanistan, right? Chicago in many ways is worse than some of the most wild cities that we think about throughout the world because there are murders that are not being solved. There are people who are shooting other people and then getting out the next day. That's regularly happening in the city of Chicago. And why does it happen? It's because of a lack of leadership. And why do I point to leadership? Number one is because leadership is about looking and identifying a problem and solving it. Leadership is about pushing people to do what they should do. Leadership is about changing minds. Leadership is about standing up against the mob and saying no. And she can't do that because she truly believes that the media narrative that everybody is against the police is true. And it's not. And I told you before in another video that what the media says people think and what they actually think are often two different things. Just because the media, educated white kids who are out of touch with reality, often what the media is, right? Just because the media thinks one thing does not mean that that thing is reality or that thing has any connection with what the public thinks. So, hey, bad leadership, anti-police sentiment, if we can solve those issues, then we'll go a long way towards fighting the crime that's rising in all our major cities. And then if we could solve the single mother problem, if we could solve the truancy rates, If we could solve that, then we truly could have paradise in the black community. But hey, that's a war that's going to take a long time. But we could start with just replacing the bad leadership and stopping the anti-police sentiment. Those could be fixed today.